All right, welcome back. Week 14 of the Tech Number Sports Podcast. I'm Dan, joined by my co-hosts Matt and Zach. How are you guys doing this week?
It's been a pretty good week so far. But yeah, how are you?
I'm doing well. Baseball started. Mets are on a roll. So
Yes.
hopefully that continues.
Yep, definitely baseball started and made it a pretty good week. We've had a lot of good baseball so far. We've got a lot of baseball to talk about this week, along with some basketball stuff. We'll actually start with basketball stuff this week. And the play-in and playoffs are starting up. Today is the last day of the regular season. So we can figure out seedings and stuff like that. So we're going through some favorites, some sleepers in the playoffs. We can start with some favorites from the East. Who are a couple of favorites you guys have in the East?
All right. I can start, I guess. So my favorites, one of them's quite obvious. It's the Bucks. And then the other one is the Nets. I don't care that they are the 7th seed right now. I really don't. When you have KD and Kyrie on the same court, and now they're healthy. We saw what happened in the first 2 games of the Eastern semis last year. When I know it was Harden, but we saw when two like offensive superstars on the same court, they spanked the Bucks in Barclays twice. And then we saw what happened against the Celtics last year. I know it was the big 3, but still, the Celtics could not keep up at all. So when you have KD, which by the way, I didn't even realize he played 54 games this year. Like I thought he played like way less. It just seemed like that. And he's averaging 30 point. He's averaging 30 point like 2 or 3 or something like that. Almost winning the scoring title actually. But anyways, and also you have the emergence of Bruce Brown, who's been averaging I think about 15 in the past like 10 games so far. So I don't care that they're the 7th seed. They've been unhealthy this entire year. I have the Nets as a favorite. Like, come on.
Shocking.
Come on. Like.
No, I left off the Nets because like I feel like that's like a too easy of a pick. So I'm picking 2 other favorites.
All right, fair.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't know if that's an easy pick, but for your favorite.
I feel like it's an obvious pick, so I wanted to go a different route. So
exactly. Especially because they're all healthy now.
Like they're like, oh, the sleeper. Like everyone knows that they're a good team. Like the Bucks I have because they're reigning champs. They have Giannis. I mean, they're gonna be competitive. They've basically returned the same team as last year. And then I also put the Celtics if the Celtics can get past the first round and then get Robert Williams back, I think they're as good as anyone. Because like they're on this historic run. They have 2 young superstars. They have the best defense in the league. So why can't they compete with anyone when there's not like one dominant team in the East like there has been in years past? Like the Heat are not a typical 1 seed where they're like the Suns, for example, in the West. Like they're that can lose in the first round depending on matchups. Like they're a good team, but I could see any team beating them. So, and I think the Celtics are as good as anyone.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that the East, it's just there really is no clear best team in the East. I'd say the margin between between 1 and 8 is like it's not that big. It's not like I could literally see any team, any of the first 8 teams like making a deep run in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I mean for me, the Heat I didn't have them as one of my favorites. I think that they don't really have like a star that could take over for them when you really need it. I think they remind me a lot of like the Jazz a couple of years ago when they were the 1 seed I think in the West, and the Raptors when they were the 1 seed in the East a couple of years ago, and they didn't do well in the playoffs. They remind me a lot of that. Great regular season team, but just don't have enough to get by some of these playoff teams. So for me, I had the Bucks and the Celtics. I had the same as Zach. I think the Bucks speaks for itself. They have arguably the most impactful player in the NBA in Giannis, and the Middleton, Holiday around him to back him up. They play great defense, and you saw why they won it last year. I think they can run it back. And then with the Celtics, yeah, if they can get Rob Williams back, he'll be a big player for them. And Tatum and Brown will be huge. And then you move on to the sleeper pick for me, which actually was the Nets. And I know that they might not be a sleeper, but I think that this team they can't play defense, and that matters. And it matters. And if one guy on their offense, if either Kyrie or KD, look, if they get Ben Simmons back, they can play defense. But if they don't get Ben Simmons back, then if either KD or Kyrie has an off night, I could see this team losing either a game in the play-in or in a series.
Look, okay, I get it. Like, they're not one of the best defensive teams, but I honestly think their defensive issues are kind of overblown.
I don't know if they are.
They are. Come on, like especially trading Harden and getting a big in Andre Drummond. That's exactly what the Nets needed. And look, maybe he's not the best paint defender. Maybe he's not, but he gets rebounds, and the Nets desperately needed a rebounder as well. And all the Nets really need to do is they just need to play good enough defense, and then their offense just speaks for itself. And just I think that good offense will beat a good defense any day of the week. And just considering that you have in the starting five, four legit, fine. Three and a half legit scoring threats in KD, Kyrie, Seth Curry, and sort of Bruce Brown as of recent. And look, and Andre Drummond can hold his own on some games too. So look, I really think it's overblown, but yeah, and especially if they get Ben Simmons back.
If they get Ben Simmons back,
God.
then I'd say they're a favorite. But without Ben Simmons, I mean,
yeah, I would only agree with Dan in the sense that I don't know if I can rely on Drummond to guard guys like Giannis and Embiid and Bam in the playoffs and like hold this up. Like Bam is
would beat up on Drummond.
What do you? Yeah, I mean, you act like Bam's a bum.
No, he's not. He is a good player.
And I don't know. Do you want to go to your sleeper pick?
Even like Siakam.
Siakam.
Like
okay. Anyway, okay. I'll go to my sleeper pick right now because if I was counting in the play-in, then yeah, it would be the Nets. But I genuinely think that the Nets are favorites. So my sleeper pick is the Raptors. Look, the Raptors are a very, very good team, and I feel like nobody's really talking about it. I mean, they're playing the 76ers in the first round, which I really think that they could. I really think they have a good chance at beating them.
They have a competitive advantage. You know, any unvaccinated player,
That's true.
They're gonna.
Benefit. Technically, yeah, that is a bit of an advantage.
Matisse Thybulle can't play.
Yeah, which is going to be that is actually going to really.
He would probably guard Fred VanVleet or Siakam.
Yeah, exactly. And losing probably, arguably the best defender for 3 games is going to be really tough. And look, and I know it's points per game, but it's still impressive to say the least that all 5 of the Raptors starting 5 is averaging over 15 points. Like, that's impressive. That is really impressive. So yeah, I think they are a heavy sleeper. And if they get past first round, they're gonna make a deep run. Just yeah.
So my sleeper pick comes with the assumption that they're gonna make it to the top 8 because I picked the Hawks. I think that the Nets will beat the Cavs, and I think the Hawks will beat the Hornets, then beat the Cavs. And I really genuinely think the Hawks could give the Heat a run for their money in the first round. Really do. They basically returning the same team that made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Trae Young is playing some of the best basketball of the season right now, and they're hot. I mean, yes, the Heat are a really good defensive team, and the Hawks, I wouldn't say are an offensive juggernaut, but when you have a guy like Trae Young and you have a really good supporting cast with guys like Capella and Collins against a team like the Heat that, like Dan said, doesn't have like a bona fide go-to guy, I think that I'm not picking the Heat to lose in the first round. I'm just, if the Hawks get the 8th seed, I think they could definitely make some noise and potentially upset the Heat.
Yeah, I definitely could see that. I think with the Hawks, I mean, yeah, like you said, they're returning basically the same team. And I think, I'm not sure, DeAndre Hunter might have been out for last year's playoffs.
He was.
Pretty
That's
sure
a
he
big
was.
guy. That's a big guy to return, offensively and defensively. So, no, I could definitely see the Hawks making a run. And you can never count out teams like the Hornets down the stretch. I think
I think I could count out the Hornets. I'm
think-
not sold on them.
I don't know with them. I think they're going to get Hayward back for the play-in, and I looked. I don't think they're going to win a series, but I could see them winning a play-in game against a team.
Fair.
And then we can go to the West now, and I think the West is a little more straightforward. I don't know if we'll have the same two favorites. We might. But I mean, the first one for me is the Suns.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty clear.
No
pretty straightforward
explanation
one.
needed for that one. We'll just go straight to the second one.
Yeah.
I'll
The
go
second one for me,
Oh, yeah.
you can go ahead if you want.
All right. So the second one for me is the Warriors. What? I don't know why this is a surprise to anybody. I think the Warriors are definitely a better team than the Grizzlies. Like, first of all, they have the best defensive efficiency in the entire league. And that's considering, that's with the fact that Klay Thompson is not the same defender that he was a few years ago. We have guys like, well, not we, I'm not a fan of them, but there are guys that are stepping up like Wiggins and Jordan Poole, and who've also become legit scoring threats.
Jordan Poole he should get consideration for most improved.
Is playing like some of the best basketball in the league right now. So I think he could definitely get. He's probably going to get second place for most improved. But I kind of hope he wins. But yeah, and then you have Dre back. You'll have Steph back fully healthy, and once that all comes together, like that starting five is just, it is elite tier. Like you have Steph and then just a bunch of complementary guys that just fit the Warriors system perfectly. So I think the Warriors are like pretty clear favorites. Like, why can't they run it back?
I might be bending the rules a little bit, but I picked a team that I don't know if would be considered a like favorite, but definitely wouldn't be considered a sleeper. And that's the Mavericks. For basically everything you just said about the Warriors, you could say about the Mavericks with Luka. They have their guy in Luka and a bunch of complementary pieces around Luka that do everything that complements him super well. But the Dinwiddie trade has been amazing for them. They've been super hot. They're 8-2 their last 10, scorching hot into the playoffs. They're going to play a Jazz team that's 3-7 in their last 10. That's struggling. You've heard all the rumors with him and Mitchell and Gobert, possibly splitting up. I don't think that's good. You have one team surging and one team falling. And if they make it past the first round, why can't they beat anyone? Unless it's the Suns, which I could see a roadblock. But I think pretty much everything you said about the Warriors, I could say the same about the Mavericks with Luka.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was actually my sleeper. Because I don't see the Mavs as clear-cut favorites. I think there's a clear three teams ahead. But yeah, I can very well see the Mavs making a very deep run in the playoffs. Because I also think that they're also the sixth best defensive team in the league also, which I don't think gets talked about enough about them. And then, yeah, you have guys with especially Jalen Brunson and Dinwiddie taking major steps forward in their game. Jalen Brunson having the highest field goal percentage of any guard this season. So yeah, and yeah, Luka literally just has a bunch of complementary pieces that just fits. It all fits together well, and they have a pretty good amount of depth where it's just like enough where it's fine for the playoffs. I wouldn't say there's like crazy amount, but they definitely hold their own.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my second favorite was the Grizzlies. I think that it's a team that people thought were going to be good, but no one thought that they were going to be the second best team in the West, and like kind of running away with the second best team in the West. So I think they're really hard to beat without their best player, and I think with their best player, I mean the Grizzlies. I think they don't get talked about enough, honestly, with some of these teams, and I think they're going to have somewhat of a not a terribly tough matchups in the playoffs either. They're not going to have to play the winner of the Mavericks Jazz series. They're probably going to have to play a team coming out of the play-in, probably the Timberwolves. I think they can beat them because the Timberwolves don't really like to play defense. I think that the Jazz, and I think they're a better team than the Warriors too. I think that with the Warriors, look, the Warriors are good, but Andrew Wiggins has a bunch of off nights. They have trouble staying healthy. I get that Jordan Poole's been really good, but I think the Grizzlies are a better team than the Warriors, and I think they go to Western Conference Finals.
Okay, but like when you're looking at a fully healthy Warriors starting five versus the Grizzlies are good and they have a lot of depth. Don't get me wrong, but when you're looking at the starting fives, I think that I don't know. I don't think it's that close. Considering Steph is good. Steph is probably going to be fully healthy. He was just resting until the playoffs. He knew they were going to make it, so it was fine. So Andrew Wiggins is really not going to, even if he does have a bit of an off night, it's not going to like completely fall on him anymore, considering that they're going to have their number one option back and also best point guard in the league, the best point guard in the league. So yeah, I think the Warriors are a better team, but
I don't know. I don't think it's that close. I think with the Grizzlies, the guys that they have around John Morant, Dylan Brooks, Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., DeAndre Melton's been really good for them. Steven Adams, Tyus Jones has stepped up. I think this team is really good, and John Morant he can take over. I think almost similar to how Trae Young kind of took over for the Hawks last year. I think we could see a similar run like that with John Morant.
I guess, but like at the same time, but it's Steph Curry. It's literally Steph.
It is Steph Curry, but it's also John Morant. It's also John Morant.
No, but I know, I guess the margin.
I know.
That's not an outrageous take.
You left John Morant out of your top 5 point guard list, which I thought was a pretty bold take. So maybe you're just lower on them because you're lower on John Morant than I am. But
what is Kyrie? I think Kyrie is better than John Morant.
I think
what is Kyrie?
Well, no, I'm just because I left Ja. I put Kyrie over.
Yeah, well, he's a better player, but
exactly.
I mean,
this season, I don't know how you can.
Even this season, I think
Kyrie was better
on a per game basis. I think you can. He's better efficiency. I think neither of them are like stat crazy. Actually, Ja's probably a better defender. He might be a slightly better passer, but as an overall scorer, Kyrie.
I mean, John Morant's averaging 27 a game.
Okay, but Kyrie's averaging 26.
Getting a little sidetracked.
So, I mean, okay. Yeah, they're averaging about the same.
Kyrie's averaging 26, although correct me if I'm wrong. I'm on better efficiency.
Probably.
And Kyrie's got way better handles than Ja too. So when you're looking at like the
John Morant's actually shooting 50% from the field.
Okay, and all right,
pretty good efficiency.
Well, we can look at Kyrie's. Kyrie's.
He is probably doing better, but I'm looking at the Grizzlies.
Actually, he's shooting 46%. His true shooting, however, is 58%, which is really good.
That is good.
But okay, anyways, yeah, we are getting really sidetracked, so we can move on.
Yeah, we can go
Yeah.
on to some our sleeper in the West, and that for me was the Timberwolves, because I think that they just run up and down the court. They can score with anyone. They shoot the ball at a high percentage. Karl Anthony Towns is a star. Anthony Edwards is really good. D'Angelo Russell is really good, and I think I think when you can score with anyone, you can make it wrong. I think it's as simple as that, and they can score with the best of them, and I think the Timberwolves are not a team that you'd want to see. I know I just said the Grizzlies will beat them, but I think it'll be a tough matchup.
Yeah, it's also just I like the Timberwolves. Don't get me wrong. With D'Angelo Russell, former Net. But I think they just, for me, they don't really do it enough defensively. Like they are a really good offensive team, but I don't think they're good enough to where like there's someone like the Nets where you have like two superstars, where it'll offset the defensive problems. I think yeah, you have Cat and Anthony Edwards and D'Lo, but I don't know if that's enough star power wise to be in that category where like the defense really doesn't matter, because
Yeah, I mean,
really it's just like
for me,
Pat
it was
Bev,
between
and that's
it was kind of
it.
between two teams that had like
Defensively.
contrasting styles. Like it was between the Timberwolves and the Clippers for me. And
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into.
with the Clippers, I don't know if their offense can keep up with the other. They probably can with Paul George back, but and Norman Powell back. But I think the Timberwolves, especially to get at, I think they definitely get out of the play-in with the scoring that they have, and then I think they can score against that Grizzlies defense.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went the opposite. I mean, I chose the Clippers as my sleeper because, like you said, Timberwolves might be better offensively, but the Clippers are sure as hell better defensively. I mean, you have Paul George, who's a great defender. Covington's a great defender. Norman Powell is a plus defender. You have guys that can guard like multiple positions on the floor and still have offensive firepower with Paul George. Norman Powell, you have other guys I'm forgetting, but I definitely think the Timberwolves are a sleeper too. But I mean, I can see the Clippers beating the Timberwolves. I don't know if I see them beating the Grizzlies, but I definitely think, like the Timberwolves, they play different styles, but I can see both teams giving the Grizzlies a run for their money in the first round. I just prefer the Clippers by a hair.
I like that. I like that take. Both of those actually.
Yeah. Matt, who'd you have as your?
No,
sleeper in the West?
I already said mine, which was the Mavs.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
But yeah.
Well, then we can move on to teams that aren't sleepers and aren't favorites, and those are the pretenders that we have in each conference. So we can start in the East, and for me, you guys might have the same.
I feel like this might be the same.
I had the Bulls as my pretender in the East. I mean, they have a really bad record against the top teams in the conference, and I don't know if they have the scoring depth to keep up in the playoffs. Behind DeRozan, Levine is in and out, it seems, and then after that, I don't know if they have the depth to score.
And also we're also seeing how important Lonzo was to the Bulls. Like
yes.
no memes, no BS.
No, seriously, yeah.
Like really, because Lonzo not only was he a really good on-ball defender, one of the best in the league, I think. But also you have a guy that could rebound well for his position, and he's a great playmaker. And he's a great shoot. He's a good spot-up shooter, which credit to him for developing that throughout his career. But now you take away arguably your best defender, and then another one, and then a guy that could facilitate an offense. He did seem like a little bit of a glue guy. Maybe not like the glue guy, but like a very, very important piece that they're missing. Although I thought it was like quite obvious that they are pretenders. So I went with a different team, and I picked the 76ers. Just because maybe I am a hater, but I don't really care, quite frankly. I don't like the James Harden fit with Embiid, considering, I mean, just it makes the offense very stagnant at times, because you have Embiid that wants a lot of
That won the
post-up
scoring
looks.
title.
Yeah, and B doesn't
Okay,
seem to be
sure.
struggling with it. It seems to be Harden
Okay,
that's struggling.
but then you have Harden, who's just constantly still trying to look for fouls. He's not the same. He's not the same scorer that he was in Houston, or even last year in Brooklyn. It's a lot of ISO plays. It makes the offense a lot slower, and I think, especially with the fact that Matisse Thybulle won't be playing in Toronto, I think there is we said it before, there's a real shot that the Raptors could beat the 76ers. I could very well see that.
I don't think that's crazy. I also had the Bulls, but I had a second team, so I'll go into depth about them because Dan said a lot about the Bulls, and so did you. I had the Cavs as my pretender, and I'm sure we all knew that they were a pretender because we didn't really see this coming, but I kind of hinted at it earlier when I said the Hawks would beat them in the play-in, and I'll just kind of elaborate. I mean, they're super, don't get me wrong, they're super exciting. They're going to be good for a lot of years, but they're just inexperienced.
Just it's not their year.
It's
and,
not
and
their
also
yeah.
they
just a little
looked
early.
not that good after the All-Star break.
Yeah,
They've
and this
fallen
is
quite a bit.
It's not a knock on them by any means. Like this is still a positive season when it's all said and done, but I just think it's unrealistic to assume that they're going to go on this deep playoff run in this first year of this young core all putting it together. But yeah, so the Cavs.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, another team, I don't know if you can say they're pretenders because of the number one seed in the conference, but I'm not super confident in the Heat. I wouldn't say they're a pretender, but like
I wouldn't be
mentioned
shocked if they
earlier,
lose early.
yeah, you wouldn't be shocked if they lost in probably the second round or even in the first round. I think it comes out of the play-in, but I mean, if the Nets lose their first play-in game, I think, and then win the second one, they would become the 8th seed. They would play the Heat. So,
And we saw what happened. We saw what happened when they played the Heat last time. They lost by, was it 15? Something like that. I'd say the Heat are pretenders if they play the Nets. Because
it really all depends on their matchup.
Yeah. But other than that, I think that I get the concerns with the Heat, because they're a
really good team.
A real scoring threat, but
they're the 1 seed for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah. But they're also like one of the best defending teams in the league.
They're very well coached.
Yeah, they're very well coached. And I think, sure, they might not have like that like absolute guy, but Jimmy Butler is he is a star. He is a really good guy to have. I know he doesn't have a 3-pointer, but anything like under the arc, I totally trust him scoring the ball. And then you already have shooters around him with Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, which Tyler Hero has become a real scoring threat.
6th man of the year, like
exactly.
runaway.
Yeah,
not even close. And then you could, if you want to count Kyle Lowry as a shooter too, then yeah, there's Kyle Lowry also. So I think sure that I get the concerns, but I think that I don't think I could say the Heat are pretenders at all, really. So
yeah, I agree with that, and we can go to the West now. I don't know if we'll have the same team, but my pretender has not been mentioned yet, and that's the Utah Jazz.
They're mine too.
That was mine too.
They seem to be. It seems to be the chemistry with them, and it seems like every couple of nights they just blow a lead, and it seems like it's all crashing. They definitely have the potential to make a run, but I just think their chemistry is going to hurt them. And
you saw Donovan Mitchell the other night. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he had a quote where he said it's like the same stuff every single night. Like it's clear that they're not clicking. And I mean, this has been a storyline for a lot of time. Like, will they stay
since 2020?
Like, will they move Mitchell?
Yeah.
Are they
before that? Honestly,
Quinn Snyder is going to be fired. Like, there's a lot of lot of question marks surrounding this team, and I agree. I mean, they're crumbling at the worst time. It's everything's already been said. Like Mitchell's frustrated. I mean, they do this every year in the playoffs. They go on a run, blow a lead, lose when they're not supposed to. It's kind of become a trend.
Yeah,
So,
they're I think 3-7 in their last 10. They've looked horrendous, and yeah, basically outside of Rudy Gobert and like Mike Conley, they really haven't. There's not enough defensively that's there, which by the way, it just goes to show how important Rudy Gobert is to this team. Like I think, sure, he's not really
He doesn't get
a
enough
good
credit.
post-up player, but I think he is. I think he's a very underrated player.
So do I.
He's become underrated. Like this guy, have we forgotten that this guy won Defensive Player of the Year 3 times? 3 times.
And when he didn't win it, he was right there.
Yeah, when he didn't win it, you could have said that he won it, and it wouldn't have been outrageous at all. And Donovan's just not giving him like a lot of looks. Obviously, we've seen the stat by now where he's only averaging 2 passes to Gobert. And I get it. Maybe he's not the best post-up player, but when there have been so many times where Gobert would end up being completely matched up on like a guard, on like Klay Thompson or something like that. And Donovan Mitchell just wouldn't pass on the ball. Like he has clear position. And also I get it. He's not like a good like post-up scorer, but he doesn't really have to be. I think the real issue is there's no like legitimate star scoring threat outside of Mitchell. And I don't think it's Gobert's fault because he provides so much defensively that it kind of offsets it, because his role is to cut to the basket for the lob or the easy basket. And he does that role so well. So I think the real issue is the Jazz just try and keep running it back with the same team. They need to find another scoring threat outside of Mitchell, because you're not going to get in Gobert, but Gobert is a vital part to that team. So you need to find somebody else to do it. And they're really not. They're probably not going to. They're not going to find that. Who is it? Bojan Bogdanovic. He's good.
He's good.
He is good, but is he really like a that guy like offensively where you're like, wow, that I should be worried about that? Not necessarily. So yeah, I think the Jazz are pretenders, but I felt bad picking them just because like I feel like it's the same thing. It's like a recurring thing now. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. But the playoffs will be interesting, and a lot of teams can make a run. I like the play-in tournament. I like that it gives some other teams a shot.
I think the East is wide open.
It is wide open.
The play-in tournament's good.
Outside of the Suns, I think the West is wide open too.
Honestly,
that's obviously outside of the Suns, but
outside of the best team in the whole league.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.